Well, welcome in everyone. We've got our round 16 team lists, and I'm with Tom here, who is sitting here in 36. And mate, is there any love for Brent Naden? Is that the theory there with the Iron Naden name? Talk us through it.
It's more love for Iron Maiden than anything.
Okay.
But I thought, it's been my name for probably since I started. I think my first year I did it with my mates was about 4 years ago.
Nice.
Um, and the first year it was disastrous. I said I didn't know that we had to captain a player.
Oh God.
So I started off with just no captain, no bench. I didn't do my homework properly, but certainly last couple of years I've done all right, and this year I've somehow found myself in the top 50, which is definitely more luck than anything. But we'll see if it keeps going. So
That's awesome, mate. You've done a really good job. I was just looking at team value as well. I think I'm in a decent spot at 14.23. And you've got another 550k on me. So it's just that extra, cheapie to a gun, which is crazy what you can do. So put yourself in a good position. Let's hope that you can stay there, mate. What were some of the really good moves before we get into team list, guys? We'll do a little bit on Tom and his strategy going forward, and yeah, just what are a couple of things that have worked out for you here, or maybe a slightly different strategy you've done to other people potentially as well.
so I say it was at the start of the year, and I said to myself, I said, look, if a player is named as they say he's injured for, let's just say, 4 to 6 weeks, or I'm going to presume he's injured for 6 weeks, simply because it was last year I held Flegler for
Oh, that
a
was
few
rough.
rounds, and he's obviously still injured.
That's
So
tough as that one. Poor fella.
I know it's a really extreme example, but I thought, I think we have got enough trades, especially when we do get given them extra trades in round 20.
Yeah.
Um, we have more than enough to trade about two a week.
Hmm.
Um, so ever since the start, I've just said if a player's injured, and I think, look, they may be out for more than 3 weeks. Like I held Couchman, for example, when he was injured, but yeah, literally all it's been is I've got a bit lucky with the cheapies at the start, and I hopped on Haas quite early.
Mm.
I did know that Preston would turn out to be about a 55 plus average scorer,
Mm.
but the way I watched Haas in that first week, and I said, "There's no way I can't not have him,"
Worked out
um,
well.
and I made sure to have a couple of 100K in the bank when I did make my initial team, simply because I thought I, I thought this year, and I made the mistake last year, where the difference between like player A and player B in terms of if you're looking at two players of potentially having in, the score difference is going to be so much less than having that extra 200K to jump up to a player that might have gained 50K in the first week.
Mm.
So that was definitely, I say, and then I hopped on pretty early again with Nicholson as well. I say,
Yeah.
being English, I thought I've got to have a couple of English guys in there.
Because that was
But
the week you started, right? And got the 80?
it was a week after,
Ah,
week
okay. So
after.
when I jumped
Like,
on.
because I
Ah, he
was, I
was
was,
450, that's right. Yeah.
I was and ahhing about whether to have him in or not that first week he came in, because I'd watched a few games of him at Warrington,
Mm.
um, and he like did like a try there, so I did. Yeah, he did pretty well for me. Toa as well. He made me a nice bit, and all it was, I think it was, I think I just jumped on a lot of the like the cheap cash cows maybe a week or so before. There's been a few players
Even
I've bought
those
in
two
which have been
there.
like disastrous, but only literally one or two. It hasn't really been. I haven't really made any mistakes. Just got quite lucky, I'd say.
Mm.
But
Yeah, I like those first five there that they all worked out pretty perfectly. I think you missed one good score out of Campbell. You might have missed his that 70 odd in round
yeah,
three, but
yeah,
got
I
a
think
good
I
couple of good
think
ones after that.
I say it was again more out of the fact that I had other players I wanted to trade more than him, but I've still got Metcalf in my team,
Yeah,
And he's
that's
certainly
worked
the
out.
last probably 10 rounds,
Mm,
he's been incredible for me.
mm.
So I say that's definitely been the I say that's he'd probably be my player of because I really enjoyed watching him when he had a few games at the Sharks when I
Yeah,
was first getting into it. And because I follow, I also don't support them. I follow the Canberra Raiders,
okay.
and I I just knew that I knew that they would be a top four team this year, simply because every single player that, or if for example, like the whole back line is what under 25.
Yep.
So it's just inevitable that another season with experience, they're going to get better. And they only just missed out on the eight last year. And the game against the Warriors in the first round, where Metcalf was not great, I thought there's no way that he can be the seven for a team like the Warriors and be averaging under 45. So I thought I'll hold him, and yeah, managed to managed to be all right. And so yeah,
Yeah, no, he's definitely helped anyone who did. There's not too many that I've seen anyway that are still kicking with him because yeah, he had those few weeks in a row, had that month where he was averaging like what high 60s or something, which
yeah,
was which was huge. And
yeah,
now you've got a potential keeper there. Mate, before we get into those team lists, just a little bit more and maybe any sort of or how many trades do you have for one, and then any potential strategy going forward or guys you're looking to target or improve with your side if you're happy to
yeah.
share.
So I've got seven trades left. So probably
About
about
normal.
two or three less than I'd hope.
Yep.
But I'm not worried about because I'd rather have that extra cash than maybe an extra trade or two because it does just mean I can, for example, have the Prestons and still have like I've still got about I think 350k in the bank.
Oh wow,
So
nice.
I've got the cash to be able to jump up to players. I say I am missing a wing fullback and a centre for that round 18. I
Yep.
say I traded Burton in a couple of weeks ago and he scored that 61. And then he got named as 18th man,
Yeah,
which I
frustrating.
probably could have seen, but I just didn't think he would be.
You may not have got
'Cause that's,
Saval to score last week. You may
yeah,
you may
yeah,
have
no,
left him
it's
out.
it all worked out. It all worked
Yeah.
out pretty well, apart from drink water.
Oh yeah.
Uh, we don't talk about
No.
that.
I
Um,
just for everyone to
so
know.
I think the only player I've really got in mind, but again, I'm just going to hold off until he is named, is Kiraz.
Yeah.
Um, so because obviously I don't know what's going on with Tor, and how long he's going to be out for. So I say apart from Kiraz, and I've obviously seen that Jed Stewart is going to be named, so he
Yeah,
could
I saw that.
potentially be he could potentially be a little like cash out for a few weeks, especially
Mm.
as Tamale is out for
Yeah,
quite
he
a
just
while. So
yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I like that too. That could help me out as well. Given I think I need three down in that spot. So but yeah, Toa looks like he's gonna play. So he's all good.
yeah,
Um
yeah,
it'll just be how he backs up, I suppose, and if there's any
yeah,
injuries tomorrow night, which will hurt. But yeah, Jed's still at wing fullback, 230k. That could be an interesting one. Eh? Even if we happen to wait even the 2 weeks and pick up in 18, let's just say it goes up to 270 or 280 even, playing all right, then that's still a nice price for someone that has the spot and then can just help us at least in that 1 week and go from there. That's a very interesting start to the week there with the Tigers and the Raiders, mate. The Raiders, nothing changed for them
no,
in their sides. Sasongi's on the bench. People are hoping for him to be that winger or the center, but they've just straight swapped him, which makes sense. There's no point having Sasongi
no,
in that type of role.
because there was a lot of talk of Chris moving to the wing and
Ah,
Sasagi
okay.
to
Yep.
centre, but.
Mm.
Uh, that obviously hasn't happened.
Heath
What's
Mason.
the news on Latu Finu? Is he 14th man there or
Yeah, so
after?
nothing changed. Interesting. I thought that they might, following the bye, might be good to go, but maybe they were happy with how he, the role that he played last week,
Yeah.
and he's someone. But yeah, I still think as a somewhat cash out, he's okay. Like actually, if he plays 40 odd minutes in the middle, he can actually score 30s, and you just know with him he's going to be in the team for the whole year, right? Like, is he someone that you're potentially looking at? How many cash
It
downs do you have in your
was,
side?
well, I'm still
Zero?
got,
One.
yeah, I've still got Iongi.
That's it.
He's someone I've been wanting to trade out
Oh, so much team value.
ever since round one or round two.
Yeah.
But there's just been he's been slowly making cash. So there's been other priorities for me. So I'd love to get a player like him out of the team, but if he sits on that last spot for the rest of the year, it's not the end of the world. Or if I can move him down to a cheaper player, which would be ideal.
Yeah, well, Jed
So
Jed will be perfect. You're
yeah,
probably the only person I've seen that doesn't have a cheapie. Your lowest player is 495. So this team is absolutely stacked, man. Well done. You've absolutely crushed this year. I think there's
cheers.
100% room for, Yongi isn't needed in your side anymore, so he can go straight to Jed, and then you
Yeah,
obviously have plenty of cash already, but over the next few weeks anyway, you can get Karaz, like even Yongi to Karaz you could do next week anyway. But you got Riley Smith that won't be needed anytime soon, like over the near future.
yeah. I've got
So that
traded
can be an
out
up down.
Hearts. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I want to say.
Mm,
Um, it was either one or two. I can't quite remember. But I think is it round 21 the Broncos have got their bye.
20. Yeah.
20. So I'd look to trade him back in after that.
Yeah.
But I think I can't see him backing up after all three Origin games.
Yeah, we'll see if he's
But
named here, eh? We'll get down to it.
yeah,
The rest of the Tigers, some people looking at Stafford, but I just don't feel like it's a good use of your cash, given he's so expensive right now. Like he did great for us, but yeah, not someone we want to buy. Happy Coruscant, a bit of a flyer type pick, mate. Would there be any interest in him for you if you're needing a round 18 hooker or just
if I'm
avoid?
honest, not really. I say I love watching him play, but I had him in, I think it was last year, and I I'm not a fan of really inconsistent scorers, where
Well,
one
yeah,
week he
he's
might
one of
go out
them.
and get 100, and then the next week he'll miss 10 tackles and score 25, let's say. But I say I've got Tavanga, which I'm not too sure how that's gonna continue to play out. I say um I'd love him to I'd love him to be the lock for Manly. I think he I think he provides more than Trebojevic does currently. Um
He's playing as a prop anyway, which is fine.
yeah.
Gerbo.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I actually really liked the role that we had on the weekend. He would have played just a tick over 50 minutes in the middle, which he was going a point a minute, so it would have been fine. But yeah, I think it's worked out okay. He's got the concussion, and well, not
Yeah.
not in that sense, but for us anyway, with the bye this week, that he'll be fine
Yeah.
for when we need him, which is good. Mate, Graham Talfa has been named in the centres for the Warriors. They missed around 18, and it's not going to be something longer term. They've Kurt Cabral out, so he played a couple of games last year, did really well, all in the 30s, but not one, I think, when we've got Jed Stewart available at wing fullback that we want to look at. Now they've got through one of their buys, mate. Luke Metcalf seems like a clear hold. Fisher Harris is one of interest to people. He's at 570k, probably 100k undervalued, given he's hitting that low 50s mark. Is he someone that you'd look to target if just say you didn't need anyone for that round 18 in the mids? Is he someone that you could target, or is it those type of mid-range guys you're just not even thinking about now?
Think with Fisher Harris, I've had him for the last couple of years for a lot of it, and he has scored me consistently like 52, 53, and he had been great for me. Um, I just think that middle position is far too stacked to be interested in them, yeah, like you said, them mid guys. So
There's so
I think
many, isn't
especially
there?
when you've got what Haas, Tarpany, who I mean Tarpany hasn't scored incredibly the last month or so, but you got them to Fanua Blake, mate, like you've got so many. I think it's just too many to be considering Fisher Harris. That's
Definitely.
just my opinion. So
Yep. That's good. That's what we're here for. Panthers, mate. We don't see our stars named, so we don't even have a chance at all. So reserves are not even sitting in there either. So pretty rough, but was expected, and we did know this a few weeks ago. Now, with their side, they play this week. Obviously, they don't play. They play 18. Can't remember now. Where's my little thing? Got it here somewhere. I deleted it. That's all right. Can't remember. Do they play round 18?
No, I don't think they do.
Yes,
Let me
doesn't
have a.
matter anyway. You look at this whole team, and they're all none of them are cheap anyway. So Talangi, Snyder. So yeah, just all the Panthers guys are out this week, which was expected. Let's move on, mate. Dolphins and the Knights. How good are the Dolphins going? They're probably the most fun team to watch right now.
Oh God, yeah, I
You
say.
you've just got Herbie, don't you?
Yeah, well, Herbie and I say I almost traded in Katara probably 8 or 9 weeks ago,
Oh, damn.
and I didn't, which is probably the biggest oversight of the year for me.
Mm.
I say genuinely outside of watching the Raiders, I say Katara and Farmer are probably my two favorite players to watch.
Yeah, at the
Um,
moment especially.
I say Farnworth especially. I do think he is him or Crichton are the best centres in the league, and I think that's been the case for the last sort of 3 years. I'd say.
Yeah,
I think he's terrific.
since he moved to Dolphins, he grew another
Yeah,
leg, didn't he? I'm surprised. Like you think back and you're like, how in the world could they let him go over, guys like Cobbo and stuff? But
yeah,
he wasn't this guy. So, mate, Jack
and
Bostock, the big ton, mate, 103.
yeah.
He's a tick over 400k now. Is he someone that you could still target even though he doesn't play 18? Or again, is this something we just avoid these types of guys? We've made
Probably
a
not
decent amount
for
of
me,
money.
simply because the Dolphins aren't going to score 50 every week for the rest of the year.
That's fair.
If I'm not mistaken, like the teams they've played in the last few weeks have all had significant key players out,
Yeah.
which isn't going to be the case for the rest of the year. Look, I can imagine his break even's quite low at the minute, so
Yeah.
he's probably got easy 100k to gain.
Yeah.
But it's whether or not you want someone worth like 550k and is scoring you 30, 35 points a week in your team come the end of the year.
That's right. It'll quickly stop. He gets to 500k and he has to continue hitting that 40 average, which he hasn't shown apart from this one game. So you'll quickly start losing that, and then it's like, oh, do I sell him? All those kind of questions come in rather than going right down to that cheaper guy that we mentioned at the start to fund some other moves. Mate, there are a couple of guys, Oren Keeley here, just a little bit over 300k after a nice 40 last week with the try. He's a bit more in that range. You could use as a cash out that has dual. And then Kurt Donahue, mate, near 500k, but seems to have picked up a really nice role at 13. Is he someone on your radar at all?
Yeah, yeah, he is. He is,
Okay.
if I'm honest. I mean, he's another player. I think he's just great to watch. I do love that lock player, that lock forward that's slightly smaller than the rest of the forward pack.
Mm.
But I mean, his work rate is the same as play. I think he's quite similar, almost in a sense, to like Kurt Mann.
Yep.
I think when I watch him play,
It's tough.
yeah, very tough.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's just that if he didn't play 18, I think he would have been bought by like hundreds last week in the top 1,000 for sure. But yeah, it seems like I think he'll do a job. But again, it's one of those things. Do you buy him now and use him as like your second hooker? Like, let's just assume that. Yeah, I know. Forgot we both got Tavanga, so it's like you compare the two. It's like, do I get Kurt in and he can be the second hooker, or do I just leave Tavanga and assume that he's going to average 45, which Kurt will probably do anyway? So it's like, is it worth it for our type of
Oh,
sides? I'm not
a
sure.
lot of teams will have Aaron Clark as
Yeah,
well,
that's what I
and
mean. So would you
I
need
say with
another
him
then
and
to sell one?
yeah,
Seems like
and
a bit of a
with
waste.
and I do think I might keep Riley Smith for a bit longer.
Yeah.
Um, I think I haven't seen a reason yet as to why he can't average close to 50 for the rest of the year.
Mm.
Um, and if his minutes start decreasing, if then I'd look to trade him out. But currently at the minute, I think the hooker spot's quite a good position to target.
There you go. It's the first time I've heard that in a long time. There actually
Yeah,
are a few
yeah,
guys that like, yeah, those three with Tavanga, him, and Aaron Clark are actually just doing a really good job. Have made lots of cash and yeah, combined that's
and
like
even
what,
Cook again.
700K, and then yeah, Cook minutes is the worry with him, I suppose,
Yeah,
but yeah, there's enough options there, and then we'll look at guys like Watson and Harry Grant at a pretty cheap price later on as
yeah.
well. Made the big news on the other side. Fletcher Sharp in at 6. It was expected. He was named last week. It was in the captain's run. They decided. So good to see him back, and we can do some looping or make some decisions there. But great to see him at 6 as well. Do you own, don't you?
I traded him out last week,
Oh, there you go.
and
Okay.
it's a decision. It's a decision. Like it obviously didn't quite work out with Drinkwater, um, but the Knights. I know they had that comeback win a couple of weeks ago, but they do look so uninspiring to
Yeah,
watch.
so bad.
And uh, obviously he had that incredible 96 or 98 score, whatever, and he's had a few really big.
Mm.
But I don't think he's like a must-have. I know he's really highly owned. I know in the top 1,000 and 2,000, but he was also a player I knew that a lot of people would hold, and I thought, look, wherever I finish, I'm not overly bothered. I say I might as well try and get as high up as possible,
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
by having a couple of trades that are slightly different to people, like bringing in Duncan last week, which worked out for me. Um,
Preston early. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought I'd get Preston in when I did. I say apart from that, it's a pretty generic
Yeah.
tea. Um, but but yeah,
That's
I
good.
say
We'll be able to think about it. Because we
I'm
got,
annoyed. I'm annoyed at myself as well for not hopping on uh, Pierce Paul earlier. I should have had him simply because he went to my school,
oh, it
which
is
is
cool. That's
yeah,
cool.
I think he's like four or so years above me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he was which is a bit of a coincidence because I think he's the only bloke from London to be in the to have ever played in the NRL, probably.
There you go. What's the
Can't
what's the
imagine it.
school?
It's called Ravenswood
Ravenswood in London.
in London, yeah. Well, I say outskirts of London.
Yeah,
So
cool. Is that where you grew up or?
yeah. Say played a little bit of rugby league growing up, but there's not loads of it's obviously more union around here
Mhm.
where I live.
Yeah.
I mean, funny enough, one of my good mates who um I started doing fantasy with me, my mate Karam, and then my mate Jensen, who he plays for the London Broncos.
Oh wow.
He was in the Premiership last year, and now they're in the Championship. So he's there are opportunities for, but it's obviously limited in comparison to up north here.
Okay.
So
That makes sense. Yeah, good news that Kai was 4 years older than you, mate. He might have died. He might not have
yeah,
been
I
here
say, well,
to
I played against his younger brother who is as tall, but probably about 10, 15 kilos heavier.
Oh,
And
jeez.
I'll be honest, I'm not too sure what he's doing now, but I remember I played against him because he was in the year above. And
Yeah.
with the way that our like league worked, it was, we played, like my team played the year up, and it was like I played fullback and it was horrible. So he's, but no, I say I think I think that all three or four brothers, however many there are, I think they've all played rugby. So,
There's that many of them.
but yeah,
Wow. Some big boys. Big boys.
yeah,
They're bigger than him. Yeah, because he's pretty lean, isn't he? Just
yeah,
strong though. Like I remember watching a few weeks ago. That's why he's just every week has just gotten that bit better. Hey, like even his defense. I was watching a month ago and he was whacking blokes. I was like, where was this last year? And like all these
yeah,
offloads and the attack, like he was so conservative. So I'm really
yeah.
happy to see him improve because that Knights team have needed it, and I don't know how he has in that setup. But yeah, props to him and to a lot of the English boys coming over, mate. They've done really well the last few years, especially. We've had plenty in the past, but had a few in between
Mm.
that that didn't exactly kick on, but it seems like any of the edge back rowers, forwards, they come over and they do an awesome job, hey?
I think, well, yeah, what I do say is it's almost a completely different game when I do watch the Super League. Like it's just a completely different style, but
Yeah,
there is a reason why Penrith lost into what was it when they played the
yeah,
winner of
3 years ago
the
or something, 2 years ago. Yeah.
yeah the Super League. I think they lost to Wigan and St Helens or whoever they lost it like. And it's not like I know it was at the start of their season or end whatever, but I know they fielded as probably I think slightly understrength team. But there's a reason they didn't steamroll them, and there is a reason why the English team is going to be a good series in October between England and Australia.
Mm. What's the
So
different style, would you say?
it's more. I think the Super League is on the whole is more like expansive, as in you have players chucking it about in their own 20 and 30. And I think that's why players like Bevan French have really as I said, there's a lot more broken play. That's
Okay.
the thing. I say that the overall quality of the NRL is like undeniably higher.
Mm.
But um I say it's and I do prefer watching it in Australia, but it is just different. There's a lot of I say that the reason it is more expansive and there is a lot more broken play simply is because of the fact that the average level of the player is slightly lower in England. So there's the defense is slightly
Yeah,
weaker.
okay. Yep.
However, there like you do get random games that will end like 6-0 or like 4-2 sometimes.
Just depends on the quality of attack in the end,
Yeah.
hey? So,
Yeah.
all conditions and stuff would be a part of it as well, I'd
Oh yeah,
imagine.
definitely.
But mate, big shout out to my boy Trey Fuller. What a season from the man last year. Good to see him back. And if Hammer
Yeah.
doesn't get through, he'll go straight to fullback, and that excites me. Unfortunately, too expensive for us as an
Yeah, he's
option,
what
but
he's what 600 or so K.
he would be up there, yeah, for sure, near a
Yeah,
50 average. So, look, if anything happened to Hammer, then yeah, we've got to have a little look at him later on in the year too. All right, Bunnies and Storm. So the Bunnies one, we do have Keon Kolomatangi on the reserves bench, along with Cody Walker and Campbell Graham. So, mate, we all own him, and he's someone of a lot of importance. And we still don't have the news, I think. So let's just wait, see what happens with his eye fracture potential. He's got sent for scans. We haven't heard anything. If he is anywhere close, let's just say he doesn't play this week and he's back next week, 100% a hold because he's going to be a 65 to 70 guy, isn't he, in that role?
cool. At least, at least.
Crazy. It's
I
just
said, I
gone.
think it was like 3 weeks in a row he scored over 80,
Yeah.
and he would have been close to that. Even closer to that last week had he hadn't have come off. So,
Yeah. Lewis Dodd. There he is.
big.
Hey, let's go. Yeah, okay. So with no Cody, he's in that one. Latrell's backed up to named to back up to play, which is good. Your boy Talis Duncan, it's going to keep his spot. I bet you're excited about that. A lot of people looking to buy him now,
Yeah,
which is always good to get that week ahead. I've got Aiken. I can hope that they actually decide to go right and not just go left to Talis like last week. But we'll take
yeah,
what are you, 55 each? Well, I'll be up for that. I'll take that.
yeah. Well, I've got both as well, so it's
Oh, true,
I
true.
could do with the workload being spread a bit, but I say it's great to see him finally sort of cement himself in that team because I
Oh,
say
so true.
ever since he broke in, there's been all this like great talk about him, and if I'm honest, from what I've seen, he when I was watching, he wasn't quite as good as a lot of the commentators made out, I thought.
Yeah.
So it's great that certainly the last couple of months, I'd say he's really stepped up,
Yeah. It
and
just looks so different to how that first few games look like. He's making breaks through the middle and all that, and then you just, yeah, when he's on the park,
yeah,
you hardly noticed him the
yeah,
last 2 years anyway. So, yeah, a wild one. Mate, Storm players, Pappenhausen, Hughes, Jack Howarth as a cheaper centre, Eli Katoa. Any of these guys interest you at all?
definitely, definitely Jerome Hughes. I
Hmm.
say it's something I'm going to give at least another week or two. I think I'm in the position. I'm in a fortunate position that I don't need a load of cash, so I can almost afford to hold off on Hughes, and because there's nothing to say he doesn't go back to his like
Yeah, that's true.
35 scoring. Like it's for me it's a hold off and see. However, I think if I was like a couple of thousand ranks lower, I'd 100% be jumping on him
Yeah,
this week
yeah. That's a good way to
as a
think about it,
bit
mate. Given you've got
as a
that
bit of a
extra
point
cash.
as a bit
Yeah.
of a point of difference. So
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks for that. That was very, very helpful. Tyron Wishart, we'll probably see him in round 18, or we could see him this week for Munster. We'll definitely see him in round 18, but just a bit, over 300k, half only. Do we actually need one of those? Ah, Sullivan dropped. That's right. Looks like. Anyway, we keep moving. What do we got? 6 minutes. Broncos, Sharkies. Oh, we see Karapani still named. So Cobbo is in the reserve, so it does seem like he's actually been dropped. And Karapani played great. I think he's a very interesting option, mate. We do have a couple now with Karapani and Stewart. I think Karapani in the center spot. He's a little gun. What do you think of him as an option?
yeah, I mean, I didn't watch the Broncos game um last week,
Mm.
but I mean, I saw. I think with me, I'm always slightly hesitant with players that might come out in their first couple of games, score a couple of tries, like King Tongia,
Dawson.
where he had them two try assists in that first game, and I think he got like a 45 or something
That's
like
right.
that.
Yeah.
And I thought, and I didn't buy him. And I think with him, he like great cheap price, but there's been so many wingers that have come in, might have scored a try in their first week, scored a try in their second week, and then had like a month or two where they obviously then dropped off. Their like almost their hype has disappeared. I mean, how many players come, especially on when they're debuting, when they've got all their fans there, all their family, they'll go
True.
and score a try, and then they'll be dropped in a few weeks. So
Zach
it's quite
Sini 2.0.
yeah.
Remember that guy
Yeah,
a couple of years ago?
it was a
Yeah.
few years ago. It was I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He's currently at the Eels and he played for the
Yeah,
Tigers.
that's the guy I'm talking about. Sini.
Oh, Sini, sorry,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
Zach
one.
Sini.
All the fans are in the corner right in front of where he
Yeah,
scored. That was sick.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I bought him after that week and
There you go. Hey, you're
he
learning.
scored -1 the next week and got dropped.
That's the one. That's great. That's
So
a good little thought as well because they get a good score, they go up a bit of cash, they make a bit next week or whatever, and then they start scoring poorly and they lose all their gains, or they stay steady and then they get dropped or they just plod. So yeah, it's a good way to think about it, not waste trades on those type of guys. But yeah, Karapani, an interesting one to look at. We got Walshy as well. If anyone wants to take a flyer on him, some have gone the turbo route. You could go for Walshy. Talakai on the other side. Seems like 4 to 6 weeks for Hiroti. So as a cash down, he's a potential option as well, guys. Again, we'll go through all of these players in the best buys video, and do make sure you check out the parody video I just did, team, pretending to be Mitch. So that was a bit of a laugh, given him and Matt couldn't do the video this week. But yeah, Talakai 295 edge and center, doesn't play 18 though, so I don't know how much that helps people. Nico Hines, I'm a sorry owner of him, and I think it's just I know him to Hughes seems pretty gross. What do you think about that? Some people are asking that one.
yeah, I mean, on one hand, it could be perfect. Hughes is on the up, Hines is on the down. However, it could also be as sideways a trade as you're going to get.
Mm,
I said there's nothing to say that Hines doesn't start scoring a little bit better. I think, like I said at the start of the video, a lot of it is just luck.
yeah.
With is a player going to score well? Are they not? Like I think that's what it does boil down to a lot of the time. And I say when we were speaking earlier, I've been lucky enough to that most of the decisions I've made have come off. But I can imagine next year I'll be back down a few ranks.
Yeah, but
But
you can say that, but then a couple of things you've said, you've really taken from years prior and learned from it. And yes,
yeah,
sometimes it won't work out. Like, oh, that happened last time. It might happen this time, and it did work out. Those things have, but for the most part, they're things that people get wrong over and over. So for you to actually learn from that
That,
is massive. So the Cows and the Roosters look exactly as we would have thought. Just see how things go with the Origin backups like Watson, but Wong keeps his spot in there. We've got Nafahu White, Egan Butcher out of this one, unfortunately. He went through the ringer last week, and then Dom Young is out for Mr. Toya in that final game before we get kicked off because I'm cheap and don't pay for Zoom. Eels, mate, we got Josh Papali'i in the six jersey. That is pretty interesting. Dylan Brown. Oh, he's suspended, isn't he? I think. Yeah, suspended for a week. So yeah, don't get sucked into that one. Can't believe the Hopgood one. But Katonga keeps his spot. Riley Smith's still there. Yongi's still there. I'll see how my players go before playing him. I imagine you'll be the same.
yeah.
And then for the Titans, Tino has been named on the bench. Okay. Last time he came out and played like 70 minutes straight after Origin, which is crazy. Fafita 18th man. Does he actually play? Or is he self-diagnosing his injuries now again?
Fotuaker
Um,
as well, as well. They're on the bench.
what was that, sorry?
I say
Oh,
both
Mofo.
Tina and Fotuaker both
Yep.
on the bench as well. So
Yeah, surely coming from Perth. If they do, well, they're playing the last game, so that makes sense. Just give them 40 minutes or something like that. But for Moore and Randall, both doing well. I think we'll leave it there. Big thanks to you, Tommy boy, for coming
no
on,
worries.
representing the. We've got the Scott on the videos, and now we've got the Englishman as well. So appreciate you coming on and showing off your squad, and hopefully your mates enjoy watching you chat shit with me. So
Cheers. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
awesome, Tommy. Good luck for the rest of the year. We'll be barracking for you.
Yep. Cheers. You too.